We are discussing the books that have influenced me, the books that have made me the writer that I am. Well, hello there, AppleBites. This is your AppleBite Rafael Tavares talking to you straight from our show here, The Written Writ. A show where you and I and you take a journey together to become better writers. I know what you're telling yourself. Written Writ Ralph, where have you been? Well, I've been busy running around doing crazy things and doing many cons, leaving little time to do things like this show. That's not just the only thing that's kept me from doing this, but there's other things out there, and I'm doing a special episode on it, and you'll see it soon. As for now, we are discussing the books that have influenced me, the books that have made me the writer that I am. Because we all know that in order to write, we need to read. That is one of the most important things that you need to do as a writer is read. Because reading opens your mind. Reading shows you things that you may not have been thinking of, or ways of writing that you may not have been thinking of. The reading helps you try and find the style of writing you might want to do, or the type of writers that you might be influenced by. This is all important. You need to read in order to write. It's very simple. I know what you're saying. Why do I need to read in order to write? Well, you need to read in order to write because when you write, you are writing all the stuff that you have accumulated over the years. All these experiences, all this knowledge that has come into your head is coming out in the form of your writing. And the more you're exposed to other writings, other people who have written their books, the better it is for you. So in order to write, you need to read. And I've done much reading in my years because I was an avid reader in my youth. I would pick up anything and everything that would interest me and just read it. As for the books that have influenced me the most, well, I have sat there and thought about this, especially since I've been kept running into the top 10 books that influence you on Facebook. Yeah, I'm on Facebook a lot. It's part of the job, and it keeps me busy. And anyway, so I started to think, what were the books that influenced me? What were the books that I read and hit me hard? And I sat there and I was looking at Catcher in the Rye by Jd Salinger. And that was one of the books that hit me really hard, especially the way it's written, the way Jd sees the world in this book. And it's one of those books that actually affects a lot of people. Some positive, some negative, because it's the way of seeing reality that's challenged for you. Of course, Phantom of the Opera by Gaston. I am a huge Phantom fan. And I saw a lot of myself in Phantom of the Opera, and that helped it out a lot. I read this very young, actually, and it just really influenced me. One of the first books I ever read was I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Angelou. It was a very interesting book. It was a way to be exposed to other people's lives and see how they live their lives and their challenges and their tribulations. And she just writes very beautifully. Of course, we all know I'm a great detective fan. So, The Great Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by our friend Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, of course, affected me immensely. I still am a huge fan of detectives. I have my own detective, of course, Maximus T. Jones, as we've begun to learn. And I just really like the processing, the mind, the way the mind thinks as a detective, especially Sherlock Holmes, who is able to see things that most people don't see because of his immense ability of observation. And it was one of those things that really influenced me as a child, to think outside the box, to think and look at my surroundings and make sure I can see what needs to be seen. Not that I do it often, and this adult mind of mine does have much to think about and much to look at, and I can be absent-minded, of course. Believe me, I can be absent-minded. But it's the mind working. It's all the stories trying to fight each other on their way out. And of course, you know, Mallory's Death of Arthur, and John Milton's Paradise Lost, The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan, and those are the main ones that have influenced me. There's probably one or two that I'm forgetting. That's why I wrote some of these down, because I don't have the books here. I guess attainable at the moment, or don't have them at all. As you read books, one of the best things to do is pass them on so other people can enjoy them. It's one of those things that I learned early on, especially when you would trade books with your friends. Not that much of my books were traded, because I was a little different. I've always been a little different. So, these are the books that influenced me. Oh, see, look at that. Absent-minded. I forgot, of course, one of the big influences in my life, which is Don Quixote by Cervantes. And as a child, I was a daydreamer. My imagination would run away with me, of course, which is one of the reasons I like to write, so I can get it all down on paper. And Don Quixote as a character really sat with me, because, you know, I saw this protagonist who was very much like me and saw the world differently. And he was made fun of it for it. And I really bonded with him on that. And it's one of those things about books. Sometimes you read stuff that really influence you, that bring you together with who you are. They open up your mind. It's just an incredible experience. You really do need to read. Reading is just an experience that needs to be experienced. I know what you're saying. Oh, Ralph, but I don't like to read. I think what it is you need to find the right things to read. And the only way to do that is to keep looking. Read books. Find out what you like, what you don't like. See what influences you. See what you like. And again, the only way to do that is to read. Just like the only way to become a better writer is to write. And, of course, last but not least on this list up here, if I'm not forgetting anything else, is To Kill a Mockingbird, which I read very, very young, and it showcased a world to me that I had started to see, but wasn't too privy to, even though I had influenced a lot of the racism. I did very early on as a youth. But it was an incredible book for me, and it opened up my eyes even more than I was opening them myself. And it showed me that there's just things out there in the world that I guess need to be seen, need to be understood. And it also helps me to sympathize, because I had wanted to experience this as a youth, and being picked on for being Spanish or Dominican, or whatever you want to call it. And these are the books that have influenced me, and these are the books that stay with me pretty much through most of my life. And very often I find myself remembering Catcher in the Rye, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, The Phantom of the Opera, Don Quixote, Sherlock Holmes, Arthur, Paradise Lost, Pilgrim's Progress. These books just stay with me. And it shows me what's and how my writing's been influenced. And look at that, I'm forgetting about the Odyssey and the Iliad. Both very great works by exposing me to mythology, which I was already very much in love with, and I think that's the reasons why I went into those books. And the journey, and which led me to D&D, which led me to all this other stuff, and which really influences my writing, because I am pretty much, I guess, fantasy writer, if you want to call it that. But my mixture comes from different places. I see myself more than fantasy. I see a little bit of sci-fi. I see a little bit of I guess, crime and mystery. I see a little bit of supernatural. I see a little bit of everything when I'm doing my writing. But I get the feeling that this is the bulk of it. religion and fantasy and mythology has influenced the way I write. So, these are my books, and I hope you got like a little bit of an understanding on reading and writing, because it's very important to read, and to write. And with that, I'll leave you off. What are your books that you're interested in? Or what has influenced you? What is it that you have read that has made an impact on you? Why don't you let me know in the comments? Why don't you share your stories? I'm here to listen. We're here to write. And together, we and you will become better writers, because that's what we're trying to do here. With that, I shall say this is Rafael Tavares, or better yet, Written Writ Ralph, signing off. See ya. Alrighty then, that is another end to another show, and hopefully it'll be back to back shows here, which is what I'm planning to do. Yes, so do yourself a favor, give us a thumbs up. Make sure that you leave a comment down below. Say, hey Ralph, I want to see this and this and this in your show, or I didn't like that and that and that and that, Ralph. Okay? I am here to listen, so just share what you want to share there, and make sure to subscribe. That way you know when my show is coming out, which it will be, and you shall be getting a lot of ding ding dings, so you can know when my show is there. Don't forget, we are holding a contest with Clipkick. Get yourself that app, download it, get it down. Follow us on Clipkick, and you might win 2 tickets to Ripley's Believe It or Not Times Square, Aladdin the Musical, or a special edition Toy Fair, Mexico Toys Batman. You know you want to win one of these things. All you need to do is download the Clipkick app and make sure that you follow us and share our commercial. That's all you need to do, and you can be in the running for the contest. Well, good luck there. Hope you win.